Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Jack, and I'm a recovered drug addict and alcoholic, and as Mr. Lucky said, I've been coming here for 20 plus years. I was at another school for about 25 years, but I did retire from this a couple years ago after 25 years, but he invited me today, and I thought, well, you know what, I'll come for one shot. I just can't do it all day. I can't do it. It's hard on me. But here's what we're going to talk about. This is the health class, so we're going to talk about what you can expect is going to happen to you if you get caught up in drugs and alcohol like I did. Everybody I know that's gotten caught up in drugs and alcohol has had the same things happen to them. Basically, everybody's story is the same. The people and the circumstances change, but on a bar graph, if you just look at a bar graph, here's the story of your life if you're going to get caught up in drugs and alcohol. It's going down, right? No one has ever gotten caught up in drugs and alcohol and had their life take off. That's not happening. So figure that out now. Which way do you want your life to go? All right? That's one major thing. And then I'm going to talk about, for the rest of this 40 minutes, that picture. I'll draw you that picture, right, in stories. So, just like you guys, as a kid in high school, kind of lost, kind of confused, not a lot of direction, not a lot of guidance, and got caught up with just the movement that was happening back then. Everybody was smoking pot, and I made it through 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, didn't touch any drugs, any alcohol, but it was the spring of my senior year. I was 17 years old, and started smoking pot. Got drunk, loved it, found out I absolutely love alcohol, and I don't know if I have a reason for that. There is alcoholism in my family, and it is an inherited trait. Those of you who have alcoholism in your family know how kind of crazy it is. But how many of you guys use pot on a regular basis? Just raise your hand. Everybody. Really? Nobody in here smokes pot. That's great. I don't believe that, but how many drink alcohol on a regular basis? Come on, we know where we're at here. This is pretty heavily alcohol-laden town, isn't it? Nobody drinks alcohol here. You guys want me to believe this?
Never touched it.
Okay. Now you got to ask yourself, how come I can't raise my hand and admit that I drink alcohol and smoke pot? Is it because you don't want your teacher to know? You don't want me to know? I'm not going to bust you. Maybe you don't want the people sitting next to you to know. Maybe you know what you're doing is wrong. What is it? Okay? It's okay. We're just going to move right on from that. I got caught up. And then I went from marijuana and hash and psilocybin mushrooms and LSDs and different kinds of speeds, and I landed on cocaine. I'm a cocaine addict. I'm a pothead. I'm a hardcore vodka drinker. That's what I do, and I used to tell people I only got high twice a week, but the first time was Monday through Thursday, and the second time was Thursday through Sunday. It was just, I was high and drunk and all the time. If you get caught up in cocaine, like I did, it's very expensive. I don't have a dollar bill on me. Anybody know what a gram is? You gotta understand what a gram is, a unit of measurement, but it weighs the same amount as a dollar bill. That's how much weight it is. And if you spend your $100 on cocaine, you'll get the same amount that weighs a dollar bill. That's all you're gonna get. It's about a teaspoon and a half, maybe, of dry powder. What happens, let's go here for a second. Here's a normal range of emotions, right? Everybody's in here right now. This is just the human range. Here's depression, here's euphoria, and we're all in here. Most of us are just having an average day, right? Snort a little bit of cocaine, and off the charts you go. It's like, whoa, rockets just strapped to your backside. You take off. But here's what's happening inside your brain. You've got, what are the normal feel-good chemicals in your brain?
Dopamine.
Dopamine, right? What causes them to get fired off? Whatever makes you feel good, right? You like to laugh? dopamine gets fired off, right? Like to hang out with your friends. You like to read books. You like to experiment because you're a science person, whatever that might be. You like to look at the stars. You like to go camping. I don't care what it is. If it makes you feel good, procreation. We all have sex for this reason. You guys all exist because of this, right? But then you introduce an alternate, a fake chemical, right? And it'll mimic endorphins, and you put this into your system, and your brain gets overloaded, but your brain's got a regulatory system. It goes, holy crap! Whoa! I'm not supposed to feel like this. Stop it! Stop it! Stop the production. And it does. And it stops the production of the normal feel-good chemicals, right? But every drug has a half-life. You can only stay high for so long. And for this experiment, we're not going to do any more, right? We're going to see what happens. About an hour or two later, all of this artificial stuff has now gone away, and you have a shortage, and you come down. It's rather depressing. Now you don't have the same base, but we're going to load this up again because, boy, we feel like crap, right? And again, we're going to go up, but because we didn't start with the same base, we're not going up quite to the same spot, right? After a while, and again, your brain says, oh, stop this, stop it, shut it down, and it does, right? And then after another hour and a half, if we don't use anything and all this is gone, now I have even a greater shortage. This time, when I come down, it's worse than the last time. Can anybody see a pattern developing? Here's what's going to happen over time. Right? It's not tonight. It's not even this week. It's not this month. It may not even be this year. But you do this for years, and here's what's happening. This is your brain chemistry. Do you see this? That's normal for that guy. It's not even what he used to feel. But after a while, his brain doesn't produce this. He's tricked his brain into shutting it off because he keeps pumping the artificial chemical into his brain. Does everybody get that? Don't do this. Don't do this to your brain. By the way, you saw in the bar graph, the arrow going down, here it is, here's your life. She's going down, same way. Okay? Everybody get that? A lot of times I just leave all of this stuff on the board. How about the wellness wheel? You guys use a wellness wheel? Right, or what do you call it? 8 dimensions, or what?
7 or 8 dimensions.
7, 8 dimensions, 8, 9, whatever we want to call it. Dimensions of health, right?
Yep,
Something
dimensions
like
of
that.
wellness.
And they do it on a wheel, right? What are some of the headings? Throw them out here. I'm going to put them on here.
Spiritual, social.
Spiritual is a good one.
Emotional.
Let's go mental. It's how you're doing mentally. Physically. Emotionally. Socially. Financially. Legally. Environmentally, you guys do, don't you?
Intellectual.
Listen, what do you use?
Intellectual.
Intellectual. Is that mental or is that different?
Whatever it could be.
So, listen, you know what I would put on here is moral. But let's just stop there. Now, here's what happens. Let's take, you guys understand that you have to keep all of these aspects of your life in a positive position, right? And if they go into the negative, you need to work on that. You also know that if you get caught up in a negative consequence in one of these, it's probably likely to put negative checks in all the other boxes. So let's just take something as simple as a DWI. Okay? Let's say you're 20 years old. You're out drinking at, what is the legal age? 21 now?
Yeah.
Okay, you're at 21 now. Not 20. You're 21, you're drinking at the bar. And you've been drinking for several years. You like your beer, and now it's legal, and you're up here at the bar drinking. And you've known how much you've had over the last couple of hours. You know how much alcohol is processed by your liver each hour. You know what the legal consequences are. You know all of this, and yet now you're ready to leave. You're going to grab your keys, and somebody stops you and goes, "Hey, you okay? Yeah." You go, yeah, I'm fine. Right? First lie. You're still walking out the bar, and somebody goes, "Hey, you need a ride?" No, I don't need a ride. Right? And on your way home, you get pulled over for a DWI. We're going to put a big negative check next to legal, right? Maybe we'll do this in red. Big negative check next to legal. But we're also going to put a big negative check next to financial. What else would we hit? I tell you what, you're going to have some emotional issues. You're going to be angry. You're going to be yelling and screaming. Here, this was a terrible decision and a bad choice on your part. You knew better than to do it. You're going to be mad at God maybe and start yelling at him, and why me? How come nothing ever turns out right for me? Right? This could take years to straighten this out financially. I mean, it might take 10 years to get this off your record. I don't know what I actually don't know. I've never had a DWI. I've deserved thousands of them, but I've never gotten one. But this will take you years to get off of this. But you keep drinking. This didn't stop you, but you have a ankle monitor on, and now you got to tell your friends who you bowl with that you can't go bowling this time because you know they serve alcohol there, and you're not allowed to go where they serve alcohol. So now your social circle's getting a little smaller, right? This is one event that caused havoc, and you've got to straighten all this out, but you don't. You keep drinking because this has made you incredibly uncomfortable. I heard a guy say at a meeting one time, a 12-step meeting, he says, I just want to feel comfortable in my own skin. That's why he drinks. He's like this most times. He's just coming unglued. That's what that'll do to you right there. You want to come unglued? Have this happen to you. How about you keep drinking for a couple more years? Now you've got you're in a relationship, but there's a lot of fighting going on. There's screaming and yelling all the time. Maybe you got a kid and you keep drinking, and now the money is going away, and you're not doing so well physically. You're losing weight. You're not looking right, and now you get another DWI. You're 24 years old. Big checks, big checks, big checks, big checks, big checks, big checks, big checks. Now you're going to start lying to people about what's actually happening. It wasn't my fault. It was false accusation, whatever it is. It's just going to keep going. This environmentalist used to not know how to talk about that, but if you look at drug addicts, alcoholics that have been doing this for years and years, and you look at the environment that they live in, I always picture a drug addict in a little one-room apartment at the end of a long, dark hall. You open up the door, there's a single bulb burning over the table, there's 2 chairs at the table, there's a bottle of vodka there. It's a dump. I mean, the house, the apartment is an absolute dump. First of all, his clothing doesn't look clean like you guys do. He's got holes and dirt and filth and stains, but it's the only thing he's got to wear today. He doesn't have a line of shoes over here. He's wearing the only pair he has. That couch, suede back couch, is so filthy the dog won't sleep on it. If you open the refrigerator, there's nothing in there but 2 cans of beer, a bottle of, or a pack of baking soda, maybe a couple of ketchup packets that he got from McDonald's. You open up a cupboard, there's a half-empty box of Rice Krispies, outdated. There's nothing here to eat. There's nothing is clean. This is his environment. But he smokes cigarettes, so it stinks. Right? He's got burn holes on his shirts. Right? He smokes pot all the time, so the little seeds, if there's seeds any longer, I don't even know that, drops onto a shirt. And we used to have that problem when I was younger. Would burn your shirt. But I mean, a dump, an absolute dump. It's nothing you even want to walk into. It stinks. This is where he lives. This is his environment. All right? This is what happens with long term. He's having a hard time relating to any power greater than himself. He's very argumentative and belligerent. All right? Now he's got a kid. Now he's 26. All right? He's spending this child's money, because if you're a parent, that's whose money you make. It's not for you. It's for your kids. If I'm going to be drinking 4, 5, 6 beers a night at the bar at $4 or $5 a beer, do the math for yourselves and figure out how much money am I spending a month on beer. That's his money. You know what he's not wearing? New clothes, new tennis shoes, not getting fed right, he's underweight, he's small size, he's got problems. This is your child, right? A couple years later, you got another kid, maybe 2 or 3. Now you get a divorce. Do you understand this just keeps getting worse and 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 worse? No matter what you do, your life is getting smaller. Your spirit is dying. You have to stop that. You have to stop it. You have to fix it. There's a line in a great book I just read. So let's talk about this for a second. Magic potions. Magic elixirs made by mystics and sages and wizards and witches over the eons. They've come up with stuff to cure you from anything from left-handedness to warts to whatever it might be. Well, they came up with a doozy when they came up with alcohol, right? This stuff will make you feel invincible. This stuff will make you feel like there are no problems. That's why the guy keeps drinking. That's why the guy who doesn't feel comfortable in his own skin drinks. Instead of fixing that problem, he just drinks alcohol, and it's like magic. All that goes away. You could lose your job on Monday, lose your wife on Tuesday, along with your kids, burn your house down on Wednesday, your dog die on Thursday, you walk into the bar on Friday, have 4 or 5 beers, well, that goes away. Pretty soon you're flirting with the waitress, conversation with the bartender, looking at the door every time it opens and closes, see who you know that might be coming in, because now you want to talk to them. All of that has gone away from you. It's magic what happens. You know what this book says? There's no such thing as magic. The universe will not be cheated. You actually have to do the work. You can't just drink a few drinks and have, oh, my life is fine. That's not how it works. You have to work on every one of these aspects of your life all the time now for the rest of your life. Nobody's going to do it for you. Ask anybody if they want to grow up for you. Ask anybody. Anybody want to grow up for somebody else in here? Nobody does. It's hard enough to grow up for yourself, but you're going to have to do it. Anybody want to take financial responsibility for anybody else in this room for the rest of their life? Nobody wants to do it. You have to do it. Anybody want to get an education for somebody else in here? No. If you're going to get an education, you're going to have to do it. There's no cheating the universe. This is stuff you have to work on. This is stuff that's going to go downhill very badly while you're drinking alcohol and doing drugs. It's going to just exacerbate the problem. And here's, you ever heard of spirit? What is spirit? Spirit, your aliveness, your animating force, how alive you are, right? When you guys were born, they empowered you with spirit, and you were so happy to have it, you came in kicking and screaming. Just, you were so overjoyed to be alive. For the first few months, all you did was kicked and screamed. It was fantastic to be alive. And then they told you, you can be whatever you want. Go where you want, do what you want, be who you want. You can be the president of the States, you can walk on the moon, you could be a billionaire. Right? What happened? Because all that stuff is true. Well, you were taught, first of all, you had the brain of a child, so you didn't understand things very properly that were taught to you. But then people who were teaching you had things misconstrued, and so you didn't get the right lessons. And whether it was your parents or your cousins or something you heard on TV or in a movie or from one of your friends walking in the hall here, but you got wrong lessons taught to you. And your spirit starts to die. Your aliveness, you're becoming less and less alive, and your dreams start to die along with you. Okay? here, this is your spirit out here. At the edge of this circle, this is how alive you are. But here's what happened as you got all these problems. Your spirit just got smaller. I'm running out. We're going to use a red because it's a little more visible. But your spirit just gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you develop more and more and more and more and more problems until here you are in the middle at the end of everything you know, and nothing works any longer. Here's the guy that lives in that one-room apartment with the bare bulb and the half box of Rice Krispies. What do you think his viewpoint of life is?
Not good.
It's this. It's very myopic. It's where is my next high coming from? Where am I going to get it? How much is it going to cost me? Who am I going to get it from? Who's going to use it with me? Where am I going to use it at? And how long is it going to last? And how good is it going to be? In other words, will the magic happen? Will I be comfortable? That's what he's looking for. Will I forget about all my problems? That's what I'm aiming for with all the drugs and alcohol. Before he's even got that one, he's already looking for the one after that. That's his myopic view of the world. His spirit has been killed. You guys can recognize a hardcore drug addict on the street, wouldn't you be able to? You see a guy that should be 210, but he's 135 pounds? It's obvious. Something is seriously wrong. Little children can recognize that. Guys, I have a hole in the septum of my nose, big enough to put my thumb through, because cocaine is very caustic. These teeth come out and sit in a jar every night, because I ate the enamel off of them. It's called meth mouth. I rotted all my teeth out. I'd had rotted gum tissue cut off of my gums and thrown in the garbage can. I didn't even know that was possible. It's called meth mouth. It comes from a complete lack of dental hygiene mixed with the caustic effects of all the chemicals you're washing across your oral cavity, mixed with the sugars that are in all the pop and all the alcohol that you're drinking, and just, it's in there for years just doing its work. I lost all my fillings, I lost the enamel, hole in my nose. When I said to the dentist, I said, through tears of shame, he said, so that's the level we're at, huh? Rotted gum tissue. She goes, oh no, it's worse than that. What's worse than that? She said, well, you're going to have to come back and see a professional for this, or a specialist for this. But you have fungus growing on your jaw. Really? I got fungus. I got fungus on my jaw. I've never even heard of that. I didn't even know that was possible. So I go back and I see a guy who fillets the gums directly off of my jawbone so he could expose where the root of the tooth is embedded in the bone, and he took a rasp to file fungus off of my jawbone. Inside, outside, top, all the way around. And then sutured the gums back on. There's a day of fun. I have seizures. I'm an epileptic now. I'm on anti-seizure medication as I speak to you. They don't ever want you to even have one. They're hard on you, and I've had many, I don't know what the count is, of grand mal seizures. We've had to change medications, we've had to switch medications, add medications, and it's under pretty good, but I've crashed motorcycles, I've crashed cars. It's not good. This is damage I did to me because I was just having fun, or thought I was. I didn't have a care in the world, but boy was I dying. This was my viewpoint of the world. I was 135 pounds. It's not good. You don't go see your mom and dad any longer. You don't call them up on their birthdays. You don't go for Thanksgiving dinners because you're not going to eat anything. I have nieces and nephews that have grown up into adulthood. I don't even know them because I wasn't ever around during their childhood. So they don't know me. There's a lot of damage that needs to be repaired. All my friends, when we talk about socially, you're talking about your friends and your family. Well, my friends all left, and it's not because they don't like me. It's because they don't want to participate in my death. They don't want to watch me die. That's what they. So now that I've been straight and sober, they're all back in my life. It's a beautiful thing. But my family, yeah, they're the first ones to go. I don't have time for them. I'm high right now. I'm not going. I'm not calling you on your birthday. I'm not stopping over your house. I don't care about your kids right now. That's just it. Emotionally, I remember when I was in treatment, I was there for a few days. I'm sitting in a small circle of people I do not know. Might have been my first day in the group session while I was in treatment. And they're talking amongst themselves, and I'm hearing words. I've been sober for about 3 days now. It's not feeling good. And I'm hearing words, and they're pinging off my brain, and they're making me feel something. And tears start to come down my cheek. And now I don't want anybody to see this because I don't know any of these people, and there's a counselor there. So I'm just looking at the floor, but they won't stop. And of course, the gears back here are just grinding. Please stop, don't do this, don't. But a tear drops off my cheek and hits my shoe. And the counselor goes, "Jack, how do you feel?" I said, "Like shit." She goes, "Well, that's not an emotion. Could you be more specific?" I didn't have a word for it because I don't feel emotions like normal people do. I know what it feels like if the magic is happening and I'm okay, and that's all you can call it. How messed up are you? Man, I'm fine. I'm okay, man. I'm doing good. That's when it's working. And other than that, I just kind of feel like shit. She goes, "Well, that's not an emotion." So she draws a picture of a poster with emotional emojis on it. So here's happy, here's sad, here's lonely, here's tired, here's angry, here's hungry, here's confused. I go, "I'm just going to stop there. Let's just say I'm confused." She goes, "Okay." I have to look at a map to figure out how I feel. And I can't be very specific. I'm just going to land on confused. And she was okay with that. But how sick do you have to be? I haven't had a real emotion for decades, it seemed. Physically, the hole in the nose, the rotted teeth, down to 135 pounds. Mentally, the hallmark of alcohol, drinking alcohol, the hallmark of drinking alcohol is poor choices and bad decisions. It's almost automatic. They just go hand in hand. Ask the guy who got the DWI if he knew better. He did. Ask him if somebody offered him a ride home. They did. Ask him if he knew how much he had to drink. Does he know how much alcohol is processed per hour? He knows all those things, and yet he chose to drive. Why? Because that's what you do on alcohol. You make poor choices and bad decisions. They go hand in hand. Spiritually, you're going to forget all about God because it's just not working for you. In spiritual, if we talk about that, spiritual is your connectedness with a power greater than yourself and to everybody else. Right? How connected are you? And can you acknowledge a power greater than yourself? And I've had to do that, and now I love it. I thoroughly enjoy that aspect of my life. Morally, I'll tell you, as a using drug addict and alcoholic, I'm a liar, a cheat, a thief, a con, a manipulator and user of drugs and alcohol and people. That's just who I am when I'm using. When I'm not, we've kind of changed that all around. I'm a little Catholic kid. I know better than all this stuff. Environmentally, I used to just roll my window down and throw my cigarette out because the great outdoors was my personal ashtray. My house is spotless these days. It was that dump that I was explaining to you earlier. Legally, I stood in front of a judge. I was facing 35 years and $350,000 in fines. I pled guilty along with my using partner. Charges were 3 counts of felony possession of a Schedule II narcotic with intent. It's hard to believe that cocaine is a Schedule II, but marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic. That's a whole other discussion. But I pled guilty. I had had a grand mal seizure. 911 was called on my behalf. It was a day that my maybe 4th day into a run, and I couldn't go any longer. And I had just taken all my clothes off and passed out on the bed. I didn't go into the bathroom and, wash my face and brush my teeth and put my jammies on. That doesn't happen. I got all I can do, just get out of my shirt, just collapse on the bed. And that next thing I know, I woke up and there's cops that were standing around me and paramedics, and they're trying to get me dressed. They have underwear at my knees. I don't know if they're going up or down. So I grabbed my underwear and I was like, well, what is going on here? So when you're standing in front of the judge and they read all these charges off, you can't say, guys, this was a big mistake. My partner was trying to dial 912 and got you by mistake. This never should have happened. I'm not even supposed to be here. That's not going to fly in a court of law, right? Yeah, that was me that you found passed out in my house. That is my house. Everything in that is mine. That 911 call was placed on my behalf. Yes, you got me. I pled guilty. I had no idea what was going to happen to me in the next 5 minutes of my life. I had no idea what they were going to do, along with my using partner. We were both facing the same charges. We were both sentenced to 5 years of prison, federal prison, 5 years. And then he swung his gavel and he stayed the sentence, meaning we don't have to go to prison. And he put us on probation for 5 years. And we couldn't get out of the courthouse fast enough. Thank you, sir, we're backing out. And he stops and he goes, hey, guys. I go, yes, sir. He goes, you keep your nose clean, right? Yes, sir. He says, guys, if you come back in front of me in the next 5 years while you're on probation, I don't care if it's jaywalking. You're going to prison. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Now, I met this judge in the course of business about 13 years later. I was selling Harley Davidsons, and he called me up. He didn't know it was me, but when he told me his name, I go, you a judge? He goes, uh-oh. He goes, why, you ever been in front of me? I go, yeah, but that was a long time ago. He says, are you on probation? I go, yeah, I am. But I got a story to tell you. So he comes in the next day and he buys a motorcycle, and it takes a few hours, but when it's all done, and he's sitting with his wife, and when it's all done, I go, hold it, I told you I had a story to tell you. Do you want to hear it? He goes, well, I guess so. So I told him what I just told you about how I met him, the 5 years, the probation, and the on. And I said, and I stood up, and I put my hand out, and I said, I just wanted to thank you for not throwing me away. And he says, Jack, that's a pretty good story. He says, the next time I'm having a bad day, I'm going to think of that. And he turned around and he walked out my door. And inside, I'm going, yeah, I did it! Because that takes a lot to apologize to the guy that's basically got you like that, That was one of the great moments of my life that I was able to thank him for that. Then I see him, a few months later at the store, and now I approach him, and I said, can I ask you another question? Why did you do what you did? I know people that have gone to prison for smoking pot, or possession of pot, and I don't get it. He says, well, let's see. It was your first offense? I go, yeah. You're a local kid? Yeah. You didn't fight the courts, meaning you pled guilty? I go, yeah. He says, you were in treatment when you came in front of me, weren't you? I go, yeah. He says, what do you want me to do? You're not a criminal. You're sick. If we can get you off of those drugs, you probably won't engage in that behavior, right? And my mind went, what were the odds I'd get an enlightened judge who understood that? Guys, I'm the luckiest person you're ever going to meet. The things that have happened to me and that I'm still standing here, nothing seems to beat me. Nothing seems to take me down. I've got a lot of friends that are dead from doing exactly what I did for years. That number is staggering if you think about it, but I'm an old guy, so that happens. But that was legally, environmentally, morally, that's financially. I tell you what, I retired a couple years ago, and I'm still working full-time. I'm going to work for the rest of my life. I don't have a large nest egg set up. I didn't start. I was 34 years old when I finally sobered up, and I was a little boy when I did that. I mean, I was a child at the age of 34 when I finally sobered up. Guys, the starting gun is now. Your life, it's yours. Take off. Start running. I want you to work on every one of these aspects of your life as they happen. Don't get here. I've had to start here and move outward. Right? And then I got out there, boy, things were looking good, and I got to the next level, and I kept going, and I had to get things to move outward. And that, boy, the life was really looking great. And you move out again. That's hard. Don't do this. Start out here, right? I've had to keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going. And now I actually feel like I am all the way out here. I want you to be like that child that was imbued with spirit. Guys, your life is at the edge of your fingertips. You can have whatever you want. You can go where you want, do what you want, be who you want, love who you want, get the education you want, get the job you want, travel the world where you want, buy the art you want, love the person you want. There's nothing that you can't do. But you can't do any of that if you get caught up over here. Does anybody not understand that? What time are we going to, by the way?
9:04.
Oh boy, we're doing good. All right, listen, I don't have much more than that. I can tell you all kinds of stories. We could be here for hours if you wanted to. But does anybody have any questions? Let's just go there for a few minutes. You can ask me anything as long as it relates to anything we're talking about. Come on, somebody. If I pointed out somebody, would they ask me a question? Do you have somebody that would ask something?
I think there's a couple people. Anybody got, yeah.
Go ahead.
What made you like want to go to recovery?
Yeah.
Oh, well, again, I OD'd, and I've tripped over, fallen down, passed out, puked on my shoes, rolled in my vomit. I mean, all that's happened, you know. That was never any big thing. But when suddenly police are the ones waking you up,